power pole! Extend! Except it doesn't extend because it's two swords and a stick, so it doesn't really function the same. Hello everyone, welcome to Attack of the Saiyans, or Dragon Ball Z Attack Saiyans. Now, I do not have a case, which is a real shame. But, just for the people who don't know, it's DS title for the original DS, Dragon Ball Z Attack of the Saiyans. I believe it's called Dragon Ball Z something something Kai in Japan to market the re-edited version that's Dragon Ball Z Kai. Pretty enjoyable licensed game, to be honest. It's really an enjoyable licensed game. It's an RPG, which we don't get a lot of Dragon Ball Z RPGs. There's a lot of them in Japan, but only very few have ever came to America. And it's obviously been debatable. A lot of people hold the Super Nintendo one and this one as some of the best ones. And this is a pretty solid RPG. The beginning of it actually takes place in Dragon Ball when Goku and Piccolo fight each other at the end. And it basically goes all the way to the Vegeta saga to where he leaves planet Earth. So it covers a pretty nice chunk of Dragon Ball Z with a little bit of Dragon Ball. And it sadly cliffhangs though. Now this was done by Meloff. As in like the people who did this game. Xenoblade. You know, those dudes. They made this. Which is very interesting. It really follows the basic kind of RPG formula when it comes to combat, and obviously throwing its own mix into it, of course. It's turn-based, and 3 characters can participate in combat at a time, and you can switch between 3 additional characters during combat. Kind of like Final Fantasy X, you know, just be like, well, I want Goku to switch out with Yamcha, because he's badass in this game. No kidding, he's really fucking badass, which is such a shame what happens. Assuming you don't know anything about Dragon Ball Z, I'm going to try and refrain from really saying too much, really. But come on, who really doesn't know Dragon Ball Z's plot by now? But anyway, basically, if you don't know the plot, basically it starts off at a martial arts tournament. Evil Demon King's trying to destroy the world. You fight him in the tournament, kick his ass, get married, and years pass, and then an alien comes to Earth and tells you, the main character, Goku, that he's your brother. You haven't did what you were sent to do by killing everyone, and now he's going to kill everyone. And it sets off this whole chain of events of basically planet invaders to destroy Earth. And it just sets off a whole chain of getting trained and leveled up and taking care of problems and things. Now, combat-wise, obviously, instead of MP, you have Kai, of course, who didn't see that coming. And you have energy blasts, and then you have martial arts fist combat. And then on top of that, there are elements like fire, ice, and such. I did not find the elemental thing as useful, but at least Kai and physical attacks did play a part in certain fights. Now, the interesting thing that the game does is that there's basically a rage meter that as characters attack and get hit, that it fills up, and then they start like being in like a Kaioken kind of state. And when multiple characters are in this state, you can create combos with certain skills and such, and basically start off a whole chain of attacks that will put out more damage. Admittedly, I did not make as much use as this in my Let's Play, but there are some devastating things you can do with it, breaking the game far more than I did. Now, out of combat, it again, it's not too really interesting from a normal RPG thing now. The only real thing I'd say is really different is capsules. You can have capsule items activated. You start out with 2, I believe, and you can get up to 4 if you find extra empty capsules. Now, different ones have different effects, whether they're the active or in standby, or some don't even work in standby, while others have 25 or 50% activation in standby, and others, they have to be the one in use to be activated. So, and they affect different things. Some affect the encounter rate, status effects to the enemy when combat starts. There's a multitude of things. Reward, more experience. There's actually one for healing HP in Kai while you're walking around on the world map. So there's a lot of useful capsules, and many of them can help you drastically. Like I tell you, the food and the staff that give you HP and Kai restoration are very abusive in the game, to be honest. Faithful to the storyline is probably one of the things that most people shoot down with licensed games, along with obviously the gameplay. Well, the gameplay is pretty solid, I'd say, from what I'm telling you. Combat's pretty solid. It's pretty fun to try and figure out the combinations, and a lot of the attacks and sprite work and everything is very nicely done. If you're a fan of Japanese voice acting, you'll be happy to hear that there is no English voice acting. There is only the Japanese voice actors for the attacks and that. If you don't like that, and then you will be disappointed there isn't any English actors. But the story stays pretty faithful. It actually even, like, if you think of some of the plot holes in the series, it actually kind of fixes some of them, or even throws out some insight that makes it more logical why this character is doing this, or doing that. I'd say there's only 2 major things that I thought were kind of what the fuck when it came to the logicness of the plot, but aside from that, it stays really faithful. There's also a secret boss in the game, which comes from one of the movies, which technically does kind of whip the plot, but that's just a complete side thing, and I wouldn't really even count that to the accuracy of the main plot. I'd say it stays pretty faithful from beginning to end, with only there's a little issue here and there, but believe me, I've seen a lot of licensed games. This is pretty accurate. Let me tell you, it certainly is not. It is not this. That is for sure. That is for sure. Because that thing's, whoa. Dragon Ball Z Attack the Saiyans is a bit pricey. I see it radically go from 25 to 50 and even beyond 50. While I was trying to get a copy, it was in an expensive state, and then it kind of actually went down for a while. So if you keep your eye out, you probably can get it for like 20-25 bucks. Aside from that, of course, if you want the case booklet and everything, you probably have to pay out a little more. I found mine asking a GameStop to look for it because, like I said, at the time, they were very expensive. And sadly, getting the case and booklet is going to obviously, demand more money than the lower prices. So it's a bit of a sad thing. Oh, and also, in the game, there was a strange little bug thing. During story moments where characters are talking, actually, you see like their avatar and then, the box of text. Well, at certain points, there was this weird flicker on, like, the top of their head, and it would just flicker. It was really weird. And I thought it was originally my 3DS, but it also was in the DS recording when I got my direct from DS capture device. It still did it. So there was some weird flickering there. And there are a few items that have text that go beyond the box boundaries, but nothing that destroys the game. It's a really faithful game to the license. It's a pretty kick-ass RPG. Has pretty decent length. I'd say if you really know what the fuck you're doing, you probably speed through it through 20 hours. You're probably looking at average 30 hours for absolute blind, no help, looking for item kind of thing. Maybe even possibly 40 hours if you're just doing it absolutely blind. But to get through it all, it's not incredibly challenging. There is challenging parts, but overall plot progression isn't very hard. So this is kind of a little below average, I'd say, in hardness. I wouldn't say it's incredibly hard, but it's still a really fun game, especially if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z. I highly recommend it. And I highly would say go look for it. If you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, as just a simple RPG player, still a fun game to play, offers decent gameplay, and I'd say the worst thing is if you're looking for a really challenging RPG, you're not going to really find it here. So, aside from that, if you're just looking for something relaxing, fun to play, I definitely say go for it. So, that's my opinions on Dragon Ball Z Attack the Saiyans. If you have any questions or anything you would like to ask me about, feel free to leave a comment. I will gladly respond. And until next time, there better be a fucking sequel on the 3DS! What? It was a good game. We need the Defenders of Namek! The unofficial name for the sequel that doesn't exist yet. Oh well. Hopefully there'll be a sequel. Anyway, until next time, Dragon, where's Dragon? Dragon Ball Z! Dragon, with a dragon. Dragon Ball Z! Wow!